Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Mutually Collaborate, an initiative by ULP and Old Mutual. I'm Tsepo Mokhotu from ULP, and I'll be your host for this program. Today, we are discussing leadership essentials for entrepreneurs. To unpack this topic, I'm joined by Prof. Maurice Radebe, Chairman of ULP and Head of Wits Business School and Director. Prof, welcome.
Thank you very much, Tsepo. I feel very honored and privileged to be on this platform. Thank you very much.
Great stuff. Thanks, Prof. So unpacking this topic today, it's really a topic that needs to be addressed, that we need to go deep and unpack all the necessary aspects of it. Can we just watch where you take us through some of these key elements tonight?
Today I want to speak about leadership essentials for entrepreneurs. This is based on my own personal experience when I was starting to become an entrepreneur, as a small entrepreneur, as I rose through the ranks of entrepreneurship and medium-sized entrepreneur and became a large player in the entrepreneurial space. I somehow tended earlier on in my life, forgot that I am a leader. When you are an entrepreneur, you are thrown into a leadership role, whether you like it or you don't, whether you think you're a leader or not, whether you think you're born a leader or leader that has been developed, it doesn't matter. You are already a leader. And that's very, very important to understand. And that's why this topic is so essential for entrepreneurs, that you need to understand leadership essentials that you need to possess, exhibit, and live out as an entrepreneur. That's our topic today, and I want us to talk about that in a little bit more greater detail. I'll give you quickly 7 points that I would like you to focus on in developing your leadership talent as an entrepreneur. The first one, clearly you must have a vision and a goal, and it must be painted in your mind as a picture that is clear that you can see, and your job as a leader is to make sure that that vision, you're able to articulate it, you're able to speak about it, and do not tire to talk about it, and persuade people to deliver on that vision. Because that's your guiding North Star. And where is the vision comes from as an entrepreneur? It starts with the problem that you want to solve. Any business must solve a problem. And then once you've identified the problem you need to solve, you must have a solution for that problem. That becomes the vision that drives you. Once you've developed that vision, you then develop a strategic plan and how you're going to implement it, execute it, and you must be clear about the goal that needs to be attained. So, number one, be clear about your vision. Be clear about your direction. Be clear about your North Star. Be clear about where you are going. And that's important as an entrepreneur. The second one is, if you really want to build a business, you do not work in the business, you work on the business. How do you work on the business? Is you develop people that will be people that will actually help deliver the vision. The biggest problem with entrepreneurs is that they surround themselves with people who are not smarter than them. And they have what I would call a syndrome of wanting to be the most brightest, the most smartest, and the most prominent person in the business. You actually have to develop people. And in fact, surround yourself with people who are smarter in their area of expertise. For instance, if you are starting a business, you want a marketer that you want to bring on board, he must be much more smarter than you. You want an IT person, he must be much more smarter than you in that space. If you want an HR person, he must be much more smarter than you in the HR space. And your job is to collaborate, to create a positive and a collaborating environment and create a team. I tell you, creating a team is an effort because the team starts by first storming, and then people don't agree with each other, but that's your job to bring them back. And then later on they form and they become a team that can play, and each one knows where their roles are, and then later on they perform. When they start performing, they become a dream team. And that's what you want as an entrepreneur, is a team of people that actually share the vision and they put their effort towards delivering on that vision. That's number 2. Number 3 is now you need to understand the different talents of the different people. Jim Collins uses this very good analogy of a bus. And he says you must first get the right people in the bus, and then you must make sure that once they're in the bus, each one is sitting at the right seat of the bus. In that way, nobody is sitting in the wrong seat. In other words, you are identifying their talents, their gifts, their strength, their DNA, their passion, and their sense of purpose, and then you align it with the vision that you have. And then you also look at diverse skill. Don't get everybody that is the same. That biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is that you go and get your uncle, get your aunt, and get your family members to come in here because you're starting a small business and you're nice, you're trying to help them, and you all think the same because you all grew up in the same environment, and then before you know, you all groupthink. No, in a business, you must have very, very diverse skills, diverse talents, diverse opinions, and because that generates creativity. And it helps achieve results that are beyond each and every one of you. So, important thing, find good talent, utilize it to the fullest. That's the number 3. Very important as an entrepreneur. If you don't do that, you're going to get yourself into trouble. I'll give you very good examples about that later on in my presentation, but let's go on. The next one is to create a sense of excellence. The organization must have a sense of excellence. Excellence must be a value that everyone subscribe to, that what we're going to be doing, the service we're going to be rendering, or the products that we're going to be rendering are going to be of highest quality. The service is going to be of highest quality. And the ambience, the atmosphere, the look and feel of the place must be impeccable. And the way you show up is also very important because you need to show up in an excellent way. So, and your talent then must know that you're going to hold them accountable to the standard of excellence that are high. I promise you, if you're a person that enter into a business and you get a sense that things are disorganized here, things are not starting in time, the service is poor, people just walk away. They vote with their feet. They walk away with their money. So excellence is what attracts people. Excellence is critical. And it's so important, and I want to emphasize this because sometimes we think that people will come to us just because you're a BE player. Oh, come on, man. People are not buying BE. They buy excellence. They buy quality. They buy service. They buy value. And that's what you need to. So you need to create a zone of excellence, what I call. Your operations must work like they're like a clock. I remember when I was looking for a job and I entered into different factories, I was interviewed, and I went into one of the factories, and when I looked around, everything was just all over the place. And it was dirty on the floor, and I realized, no, I don't want to work in this place. And the second place that I went to, the factory was clean, and it was painted. The green zones were painted, and you could actually eat from the floor. And that made me to say, I want to join this company. And that's very, very important. Excellence goes a long way. Number 5, let me tell you something. When you are an entrepreneur, you're going to meet a lot of challenges, a lot of problems. You're going to meet a lot of setbacks. You're going to meet a lot of headwinds that are going to be discouraging you. Every day, every moment, you'll be meeting problems. What you need to develop is internal resilience, ability to have hope that tomorrow is going to be better, and ability to just go through tough situations When everybody wants to give up, you can't give up. You have to persevere in the face of adversity. I promise you, if you don't have hope as an entrepreneur, you're not going to survive. If you don't have resilience, you're not going to survive. Many entrepreneurs fall by the wayside when it comes to this element, because they start with a big bang, a lot of excitement, a lot of energy, and a lot of vision, and thinking, I'm going to make a lot of money very quickly. When the challenges of life comes in business, setbacks come and hit you from all angles, you realize, my dear God, what have I set myself in? And then you want to resign, and you want to pull out, and before you know, the whole atmosphere is an atmosphere of despair, because the people that have been following you see it. So every time we walk into your company or your startup company or your organization, walk with a sense of hope. Let's go to number 6, which is the most important one. Ethical leadership. Do business the right way. Do business with clear integrity, clear principles, especially in this day and time and in this age where corruption is at its height. You will differentiate your business by being an ethical leader, and your business must be clear. I promise you that if you do that, especially when you operate in this day and age, throughout this country and throughout the continent and throughout the whole world, the only way people will respect you is when they will try you, I promise you. They will try to tempt you to do unethical things. They will try to tempt you to forget about your integrity. But if you consistently say no, before you know, everybody will be knowing that this is an ethical business person, and then they will never try again, and they will respect you and admire your business. The last one, innovation. What made you successful yesterday will not make you successful tomorrow. I can tell you now. You have to be always pioneering genuine innovation. Look at your business model. Is it still relevant? Change it as quickly as possible. Respond to the challenges that the environment comes in. We're living in a VUCA world, which is a very volatile world, very uncertain world, changing world, and a very ambiguous world. And you need to be agile. You need to be creative. You need to have solutions that comes in and meet the needs of the customers or your clients or whoever you're working with. Because if you're not, you're going to, most of the big organizations have disappeared. I can mention a number of them. If you're old enough, you remember there was Kodak cameras. Where are they today? Gone, because they didn't innovate. In fact, pride was really in the minds and hearts of the executives. I remember as a case study even today, executives said, no, nobody's going to leave Kodak. Where is it now? BlackBerry, where is it now? The executives of BlackBerry thought, well, with 50% market share, iPhones will never come in. They came in, they took the market. There's a list of companies, and things change so quickly. So you need to innovate always to make sure that you succeed. So I want to basically say, you are a leader with an entrepreneur. Know that, and spend your time developing your leadership talents, gifts, and your skills and your competences so that you can be able to lead the organization, the business, and make sure that it is sustainable, and you can create a legacy that you can leave for your generations and the next generation and the next generation.
Wow, that was amazing discussion that Prof has covered, and it really just helps us to really focus on all these issues around entrepreneurship and the essential skills that are really needed for the entrepreneurs in this space. Given that we are in this vibrant entrepreneurial landscape of South Africa, effective leadership is the cornerstone for success, and entrepreneurs operating in this diverse and dynamic market face unique challenges and opportunities necessitating a strategic approach to dealing with leadership. So today we're going to explore this. Prof, I want you to take the first question for me. What are some of the pitfalls when drafting that vision? As you covered the first point around vision, what are some of the pitfalls that entrepreneurs get into when drafting their visions?
That's a very good question. First of all, the biggest pitfall entrepreneurs, when they're drafting their vision, is that they draft unrealistic vision. They've got high hopes, and they draft something that is, we keep on always, sometimes they encourage them, says you have a big head, big, bold, and audacious goal. But you need to make sure that that vision is also realistic and achievable and is actually smart in the way, as we know what smart is. It must be very specific, it must be very measurable, it must be achievable, and it must be in a way that you can be able to report on it, and it's time bound. And that's the biggest weakness of our visions. They don't break down into chewable, achievable steps in order to achieve them.
Awesome. And I had a follow-up question on that, because when you were explaining, especially that measure, because sometimes we put these goals, but they are not realistic in terms of measuring them.
Yeah.
And what are some of the examples you could give in terms of specifically setting goals that are specifically measurable? So what are some of the stuff they could put for themselves? Maybe you're just a startup, some of the stuff they could measure themselves right from the beginning to make sure that their goal is attainable.
Well, first of all, you need to put, if you're a startup, the most important thing that you need to do is to go out and sell your product. So revenue target must be clear. And I'm talking revenue and not market share, because sometimes we go for market share. Revenue, how much are you going to sell? So if your production entity, what is the production target that you're going to set? And then once you've achieved those two, and then you must set up what is the margin that you're going to make. It's very important that you set a very clear margin. Margin, you can call it whatever you call it, maybe gross profit. And then you must be clear what are your expenses are going to have here. And then set very clear, and then set your profit targets. And those must be very clear early in your startup of the business. Set them very, very clear and monitor them very carefully all the time.
Great. I like it, Prof. So then you spoke about people, that you need to make sure that you assemble the right team. But then there are these individuals and teams that have their own ambitions and all that, and those ambitions sometimes are not necessarily aligned to the company vision. How do you deal with that specifically as an entrepreneur and as a leader?
Yeah, that's a very important question, because in fact there is a lecture that I've just given about toxic people in an organization. And as a leader, you need to know the different types of toxic people. There are those people who are pessimists, that will actually discourage you. And there are people who are energy drainers.
Yes.
They basically those people who will drain your energy, high maintenance people. And there are those people actually up front who do not agree with the vision. And that's why there's a word called division. Division means two visions.
Yes,
You can't have two visions in an organization. And the best way to do, and I know it may sound a little bit brutal, but if ever there's any toxic person in your organization, whether it's an energy drainer or it's a high maintenance person or it's a non-performer, early in the startup, you just can't afford to carry baggage. You have to take very quick decisions and let them go.
Awesome. Need to be decisive on dealing with those issues, I can see. Following up then from people, then we talk about talent. And so some of the key roles that, because sometimes, I mean, when you're a startup or you're an entrepreneur, you can't afford to have all these roles that people need to have like big organizations would do. So what are some of those key that entrepreneurs should at least try have for their business as they start up or trying to accelerate their business?
Yeah. First of all, you as an entrepreneur, your first job is to go out and sell.
Yes.
Sell the vision, sell the products, sell the services. So assemble yourself at least one or two salespeople. And then if it's a production company, make sure that you've got a very talented, experienced production manager that will be producing whatever goods that you'll be making and manufacturing. That's important. And the third person, I would say, get a finance person. And then all the other services you can outsource at the beginning. For instance, you can get HR and IR support services, but get them from experts. And you can go and get even marketing services, get them from outsource that and bring them as and when you need them. But the key ones is those that sell, those that make, and those that actually deliver the service, the operations. You definitely must have those people in place.
Okay. I've seen a few businesses where the actual entrepreneur who is supposed to be the leader and driving this, being the actual specialist, and as such, focusing mainly on their craft in terms of really doing what they know best, which is the core of the business. But forgetting to do the actual leadership role in there. What advice then can we give to those type of entrepreneurs that are really strong at what they do, but they're not really fulfilling the actual leadership activities?
I always say I use this T. Normally, entrepreneurs start with their craft. They're experts in, take my brother, for instance. Yeah. He was very good as a fitter and turner. He can fix any machine. And very deep into their craft, which is the T, which you do need to have in order to have credibility, particularly with clients, that they know what you're doing, you're an expert. But you must quickly, and if I were to recommend, if you can't go to a business school to learn about business, about leadership, about general management, at least try to learn it through attending seminars, workshops, looking at videos of ULP, so that you can actually develop your breadth, which is basically leadership, management, and understanding that your politics, your economics, understanding broadly about all the other aspects of the business, and then people management. And then you need to learn these things very, very quickly, because if you just do your craft and you focus on your expertise, the business is going to fall. Everything else is going to be hayway. And you will produce a nice product that you have, but there's nobody to sell it, nobody to market it, there's nobody is there to really give it life. And that's the problem with experts when they do not surround themselves with the right people.
Great, and I've seen that as well. Having been to a business school, I've seen some of these important skills that you really need. Even at corporate, you need some of those skills to really help you, because sometimes you might have all these activities that need to happen, but you don't have skills to be able to identify what's really important, what's urgent, what's not urgent, what can be delegated, and all that stuff, because you're so used to just doing what needs to do. But I've seen that some of the skills you get specifically at management level, you start being able to prioritize and knowing what to focus on and not what to focus on.
Very, very important. You must know what you know, and you must know what you don't know.
Yes, yes.
The smart people know what they don't know.
Yep.
And then you make sure that you get the skills and talents that will complement you. And then you need to rise above the business and be working on the business rather than inside the business. Because if you're working inside the business and you're the only one, you create a huge sense of dependency. And you create a key man risk. We're all human beings. So if you get sick, the whole business comes to an end. If you are for one reason or another, you're not available, do not make yourself indispensable.
Yep.
Because promise you, nobody is indispensable in this world.
Yep.
Somebody said it in a very crude way. It says, if you think you're indispensable, try dying.
Very true, very true. Talk about dying, and the next point I wanted to pivot into was around hope and resilience.
Yeah.
And because now we face with all these macroeconomics that are challenging businesses, and personally, people are going through a whole lot of stuff that impacts them personally, and I have to deal with all these things. How do you then remain charged up and positive and making sure that you can give that hope also to your team as a leader?
That is why I'm very much now, even at business school, pushing the whole concept of spiritual intelligence, SQ, because sometimes we focus on IQ and EQ, and we spend a lot of time on that. But you have to have inner spiritual, deep sense of conviction that you're going to succeed. And be passionate about that. And that kind of resilience, it comes from the deep sense of your value system, your metrics of your values, that makes sure that you have a sense that tomorrow will be better. And if you exhibit that hope, and you know that there's also it's not about you only here. There's a higher purpose why you're doing this, and you're solving a particular problem. That gives you an immense amount of resilience, because when you know what you're doing is higher purpose and is a legacy stuff that will make an impact in the lives of people. You know, I run a business school, as you know now, and we've been working hard to really turn it around, and I'm very pleased with the progress we've made. And I attended a graduation ceremony of 350 ladies, female accountants, CAs, and I sat there for 2 hours just looking at their joy and their happiness and their excitement, and I looked at them, I said, it's worth it. You know, there's 350 women leaders that are entering into the financial services in this country. That's a higher purpose stuff.
Yep.
So you need to have that kind of thing to say, what I'm doing here is not just about making money for myself, it's about a higher purpose. And that gives you the resilience.
Wow. I've seen it where resilience was required during the COVID time.
Yeah.
We had to run a program for the 9-month program that we do on leadership and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And that required a lot of resilience, because a lot of stuff was really thrown at us where we could say, we're closing the school.
Yeah.
It's COVID and all that. But I saw people that were so hungry that wanted to finish the program. When we switched to online, they could connect from their home. Sometimes were sick and all that. But I managed to stay true during the particular time, because they had that purpose in mind to say, I want to finish what I started. So that's really amazing. Amazing. Thanks, Prof, on that. So with the resilience issue and the hope that we just spoke about, people take shortcuts everywhere. And now you're sitting here, you're trying to be resilient, but you're seeing your friend on the other side taking a shortcut in terms of achieving things and all that. And then this leads me to the question around ethics and being ethical, while everybody else takes shortcuts and you have to remain. What does it take really to be ethical in the midst of all these things that is happening around us?
Integrity. Integrity makes sure that your business is sustainable. I'm telling you from experience, having grown in business now for over 3 decades, I've got friends, colleagues, people that I've grown up with who took shortcuts. And I thought at that time they're overtaking me and they're doing better than me. And because I've got this inner locus of control and metrics of value system that drives me, I never took a shortcut. I promise you now, some of them, it's sad. It's sad because we lose so much talent in this nation. People now get into serious scandals. They get arrested. They get named in Zondo Commission, and what you thought was successful, it comes down tumbling like a ton of bricks. So all I can say to you is that if you want to go far, stay with integrity.
Yeah.
If you want to take a shortcut, you're going to fall into a ditch very quickly. If it's not a ditch, it's a cliff. And there is no question about that. The rules of the law of the universe is that if you don't do right things, you'll soon pay the price.
Remind me of the saying that you like to quote quite a lot when you say you're running your race in your own lane and in your own pace. So as much
That's
as
it.
people are doing all these things around, you need to remain to that. Otherwise,
More than
yeah.
3 decades later in business, I can tell you now, that is true.
Awesome. That's really great, Prof. Just my last question then on this. We're talking 4IR, we're talking digital, we're talking innovation and all that. How can an entrepreneur foster an environment that accommodates innovation instead of really doing the tried and tested ways of doing things?
You have to create an agility mindset
Yep.
within your team. And you need to literally make them to have this unease about success. Immediately you've succeeded, if you're manufacturing these bottles, you must think about how can we make it better? How can we continuously improve? And once you've achieved, as Nelson Mandela says, once you've achieved this mountain, you pause, you celebrate, and then you look up, you realize there's still another mountain to climb. So you have to create that culture of agility, innovation, creativity, because if you do not disrupt yourself, somebody's going to disrupt your business. And we've seen that. I mean, I mentioned earlier how faxes were disrupted by emails, how BlackBerry was disrupted by iPhone, and many others getting this ChatGPT that is now coming is a complete disruptor, is a game changer. And how do you have to create a culture of people realizing that the success of yesterday is not going to take them into the future.
Thank you, Prof. That was really amazing. Any last message that you would like to leave for our viewers and our entrepreneurs, especially those who are in leadership?
Thank you very much. Let me speak to you, entrepreneurs. First of all, let me tell you, I love you. And I love you from the depth of my heart because I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My grandfather started a small business, and that business grew, and it lifted the entire family out of poverty. And then this nation needs people who will tackle this unemployment crisis, the poverty that we're facing, and it's only you that's going to help us. Government can only set up a conducive environment, regulatory framework, and be able to generate an atmosphere that will help you. But you have to take the charge. You have to make sure that you create jobs. And I want to also encourage people to think as job creators rather than job seekers. So I want you as entrepreneurs to know that we are all rooting out for you. And I can tell you right now, I'm one of those people who are busy creating an ecosystem that will support entrepreneurs with all other stakeholders who are working flat out, from the business schools and other stakeholders, to really make sure that you succeed. So take the charge, take the responsibility, save our nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. That was really amazing. Our viewers, thank you very much for watching. And today we've covered really the essentials that leaders should have. And at number one, just to remind you, it's make sure that you realize that envisioned goal. And number two, you need to make sure that you build the people. And number three, Prof showed us that we need to make sure that we utilize the talent that we have and creating that zone of excellence, and also creating that space where you've got hope and resilience. And nextly, making sure that you work as an ethical leader. And the last point that Prof showed us was we need to pioneer the culture of innovation. Thank you everyone for watching Mutually Collaborate. Remember to follow us on Unleashing Leadership Potential on all our social media channels, and reach out to Old Mutual using the contact details on the screen. Thank you very much. God bless.